Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to the EDUCA DPS podcast, where we inform families and connect communities. My name is Javier Ibarra, your host of the English version of this podcast. And today on the EDUCA studio, we have Mr. Mario Quezada, analyst of school enrollment, who has an extensive experience on the topic of school choice, including the requirements and opportunities offered by Denver Public Schools for the 2025-26 school year. So, Mario, how are you today?
I am good, thank you.
Welcome to the EDUCA DPS podcast. So, our guests know you very well. You've been on the EDUCA for many, many years. So, I want to ask you kind of an interesting question here. What is one of your many superpowers that gives you the most satisfaction when working with our families and students here at DPS?
I would have to say being bilingual is one of the things that give me the most satisfaction, being able to help families in my case, two languages, English and Spanish, being able to understand the process and give them the information in their own language so that we can better assist them and support them as they immerse themselves into our education system.
I think I've said this on the show before, but something that really sticks out to me is a quote by Nelson Mandela that says, if you talk to someone in a language they can understand, it goes to their head. But if you talk to them in their language, it goes to their heart. And so I think that we share the same superpower in that sense, and I know that our MLE department would be very happy to hear this podcast. But today we're talking school choice. So let me give our audience a little bit about the background. So DPS has launched the one application, so a one-stop shop for school choice process over a decade ago, and to ensure equity, consistency, and simplicity in school enrollment. So school choice has become a very well-established practice amongst Denver families. This is one of the many reasons we are here asking you, audience, to be a part of the conversation and stay with us throughout the podcast, because there might be some information that's really relevant to your case. So Mario, starting off with our first question, what is school choice?
So school choice is the enrollment process for Denver Public Schools. And as you mentioned, it allows families the opportunity to select up to 12 schools utilizing one application and one deadline. As you also mentioned, it's been the process for a very long time now, but before that, families had to apply to each school directly and follow their own application or their own enrollment process and their own deadlines. So it was time consuming and sometimes confusing for families. So now school choice is a unified process with this one application and one deadline, making it easier and more equitable for families to select more schools.
You mentioned deadlines, and so my next question for you has to do with what we call round one, round two, but essentially they're deadlines. So Mario, what is round one? What is round two? How do those work?
Yep. So round one consists of 3 steps. The first one is to research your schools, the options that are available for students in the grade that the student will attend the following year. And this is the time to do that before or even during round one is the best time to do that. Then the second step will be to submit your application. The application is available online through our website, schoolchoice.dpsk12.org. And it is an online application, very easy to access either on your computer or your phone, smartphone and tablet. Again, very easy to use. And on this application, you can select, as I mentioned, up to 12 schools. You don't have to select 12 schools, but it is an option for our families. You rank them in order of preference, and then it goes through a lot. Well, once you submit it, after the window closes, which opens January 15th at 10 a.m. and closes February 18th at 4 p.m.
Okay.
So after that window closes, we will process the application, so it doesn't benefit a family to be the first or the last. It's the same process for all families.
Oh, okay, good to know.
But once we do that, then the system will look into how you rank the schools, and based on space availability and priority, will determine how the students get accepted. And when I mean priority, I'm talking about, like, for example, a student that has a sibling currently attending, the child of a full-time employee,
Sure.
a student that lives within the school's boundary or enrollment zone, things like that. So then once results are ready, which will be towards the end of March, families will get an email or a text letting them know the results of their application. And then round 2 opens in April. Round 2, it is a little bit different. It's not a lottery process. It does take into account the date and the time in which you submit your application.
Okay.
And all of the applications are automatically added to a wait list, regardless of whether or not the school has space. It's
Sure.
just to allow just basically the time to process the application. But if the school has space, then the school will offer the seat right away. And if not, then families will just have to be a little bit patient and wait for a seat to become available at the school. And when it does, they will receive also an email or a text with that with a seat offer.
Mario, I just want to point out a couple things for our audience members who were listening or watching into this. The dates change every year. And so if you school choiced in for last year, I mean, the dates are very different. But it's important to know, right? Round 1 is coming up. And so now's the time to get prepared, to look at the school options that you're looking for, perhaps programming, perhaps a certain athletics, if you will, whatever the school that you are looking for offers that. And so my next question for you is, does this apply to every single DPS family, or who should apply for school choice throughout?
Right. That's a great question. The school choice process is open for everyone, regardless of the grade, regardless of their address. But this is particularly important for our families or our students that are in a transition grade.
Okay.
That student that is going into preschool,
Okay.
which we call ECE, either the 3-year-old or the 4-year-old program. A student going into kinder, that student going into middle school, 6th grade,
Sure.
or a student that goes into high school in 9th grade.
Okay.
So those are the families that should definitely take advantage of this process, because this is really the best time for them to be at a school or have the opportunity to get a seat at a school that they most prefer.
Mario, I'm really proud to say that this podcast is listened to not just here in the city of Denver, but throughout the state of Colorado and even parts of the country. And so we have students who are looking to maybe come into the city, or students who are moving here, right? I assume we all know that Denver is a very popular city to move to. You know, someone from, let's say, Florida, Texas, California want to move to Denver, and they have to choice in at some point, right? What does that process look for them?
So for family, I mean, the system will allow any family in Colorado to submit an application during round 1.
Sure.
Because, like I said, it does take into account priority, which is established primarily based on their address.
Yes.
So it does allow anybody in Colorado to apply for a school in DPS.
Yes.
However, for families that are out of state, they have to wait until they move to
And have an
Colorado
address.
and have an address here to be able to submit the application. But we do have, even let's just say a family is planning on moving here during the summer break. There is a process that we have in place for families that are in that situation, that were not in Denver when round 1 happened, so that we allow them also an opportunity to choose or have the option to choose schools of their interest, of their choice. So there is a process for those families as well, but during round 1, you have to be in Colorado.
So speaking of that, what is new enrollment? Are there any changes from last year to this year? Has anything happened within the district that might affect some more of our students and families?
Yes, as we were talking about transitioning students, those that are naturally in a transition grade, right, because they have completed their highest grade available at their school. But now this year, our superintendent and our board, had the difficult task to recommend and approve the closing of several of our schools. So now those students are in a transition grade as well. So it is very important for them to apply and participate in the choice process. The choice process is giving our families that are at one of the schools that is closing the highest priority available. We call it the closing school priority, and it places them at the top of the priority list. So this is really an opportunity for them to help them go into a school that they most prefer, being that, of course, their current school is no longer going to be open. It's a total of 10 schools that are, actually 7 schools are closing completely, but 3 of those schools are, 3 additional schools are closing some of their grades. So in the case of Kunzmiller,
Right.
they are closing their elementary grades, but they will keep the 6th through 12th grade open for next year. It's just those elementary students that should participate in the school choice process.
So for our families who are listening in, or for folks who happen to be listening and know of a family that's in transition, please share this information with them, because it's important for the families that are affected by the school closures or restructures, total consolidation, for them to get to this process, I wouldn't say early, but within time, so that they can take advantage of the highest priority that we have for them. Because I assume after round 1, in round 2, it's a kind of a fair game for everybody.
The round 2 does take into account the priority. So those families that are in a closing school will continue to have that closing school priority, even during round 2.
Sure.
But we're at that point now, the options are limited, because more schools now are full. So then their options may not be the same during round 2 as they would during round 1.
So as the old saying goes, the early bird gets the worm.
True. Yeah.
Do students have to reapply every year?
Yes, that's a really good question. No, they don't. Once the family is, or a student is assigned a seat at a school, that student is projected to return every grade until the student completes the highest grade available. The same thing will apply to our students that are at a closing school. They only have to apply once, 1 year. Once they're assigned a seat, they don't have to, unless, of course, if they change their mind and they want to apply to a different school some other year. But no, once they are accepted, then they will stay at that school until they complete the highest grade available.
Mario, you've been doing this for quite some time. What are some of the reasons why families would like to, apart from transition grades, what are some of the reasons why families would choice into a school that's not necessarily in their neighborhood?
Programming, really. That's really the main thing. We see that. We do see that, of course, in elementary and some middle school, but it's more in the higher grades where we see families seeking that specific program, or sports,
Right.
And that really drives our families to choice. If for any reason their closest school doesn't offer those programs that they're interested in, they will search other schools in the district, which is a great opportunity for our families to be able to do that, be able to select the school that they want based on a specific program or sports that the student is interested in.
This is part of the reason why I'm so grateful to be a part of the EDUCA podcast, because these types of resources really help out families, right? I think it's important for families to understand that there are options based on what their student would like to do in the future. It's never too early to talk about your student's future and future goals. And so this is an opportunity, right, to identify a school that maybe has a Tinley program, right? If they want to attend a school, like, I know that eventually I'm going to have to look at schools for my students, my kiddos, and I would prefer a dual language school, right? And so I know that I will have to be a part of that school choice if there's not a dual language school in my neighborhood. And so these are important things, and not to mention our newcomer students, right? And so there's all sorts of reasons why families here at DPS and neighboring districts should look at our DPS school choice programming. Mario, we talked a lot about the application, how people get on, and what happens here and some of the deadlines, but we haven't talked about where can families apply?
Yeah, so the application, as I mentioned, is available online through our website, and it's a very easy, mobile-friendly application that families can fill out. All they need to do is just create the account. If they don't have one already, if they have a parent portal, it's even easier because all of the information is already there. All they have to do is just log in with their parent portal credentials, and they're able to just go in and submit the application. But if families are not able to submit an application online, maybe they don't have access to a computer, or they're not tech savvy, and they just prefer to talk to someone. They're more than welcome to call our Choice hotline at 720-423-3493. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and we're more than happy to help families submit the application and answer any questions they have also regarding the school choice process.
That is very helpful, and I'm glad that you mentioned it because there are families who don't have access to a computer, specifically like our newcomer families, right? They need to get acclimated to the way that we do schooling here, and so that's a great opportunity for us to interact and provide services for them. Mario, I want to ask, where can families get more information about the school? So let's say I have a child of mine who's really interested in STEAM, right? Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, and they really want to go into a STEAM-led field. Where do I find more information on schools that offer that?
We have this great tool on our website called the School Finder, where you enter either your interest or your address, and then it gives you a match based on that information that you're entering in the website. So it gives you a list of all the schools that offer, the distance, it gives you a link to their website so you can get more information about the school. The other option is the enrollment guide, which is also available online. Most of our schools will also have enrollment guides. And then I always suggest families to contact the schools directly and see what their availability is for tours or an open house, because that's going to benefit the family in general, but it's more the students specifically, to get a feel for the school and the culture and just the setting of everything that's going on at the school. So those would be the most important places, which is again the school, and then our website, the School Finder.
I think that's one of the many benefits of being the largest school district in the state of Colorado, is that our schools offer so many robust programmings. Every time that I go to a school, I'm always so interested in finding out what type of programming they have, and I'm always so blown away by all of the different programming that they have, in addition to band and arts, which is what I grew up with. That was traditional, right? But I look at like the JROTC program, which is top notch here at Denver Public Schools. And I think that's really cool for students who are interested in a military future, for us to help prepare them here. And I've met some of the instructors, just amazing people. And we actually rank nationally for JROTC. And so I think it's important for our families to use the School Finder tool to find all of the programming that they might be interested. And like you said, right, take a tour of the school, because then you'll find out, wow, I didn't know you offered this. Exactly. Thank you for telling me.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yes. So Mario, my next question here is, what happens if a student is not assigned to their school of first choice? So they did the list and they're not assigned to their first one. What happens then?
So the students that are not accepted through round one are automatically added to a wait list, and they're sorted by their priority and the lottery number within that priority group. That's how it determines their position on the wait list. But as I mentioned, just because you didn't get in during round one or at the beginning of round two doesn't mean you're not getting in. Just have to be a little bit patient, as we traditionally see some movement happen over the course of the summer break. So it would be just a matter of waiting. And like I said, just that's really what happens. The students are added to the wait list and then just have to wait for a seat to become available.
What are the important dates that I, as a parent or family member, should remember about school choice?
Yes, so the most important dates right now would be round one, which opens January 15 at 10 a.m. through February 18 at 4 p.m. And as I mentioned, it's not first come, first serve process. Just as long as you participate in round one, all applications are processed the same through the lottery. And then at the end of March, you will get your results, your email or your text with that information, which you can also you'll be able to access it through your SchoolChoice account on our website once results are available. And then round two will open in early April, and that one stays open all the way through the end of August. So again, just the primary or the most important dates right now would be January 15 through February 18 for round one.
Mario, before we let you go, do you have a final message for us?
Yes, just remind families that Enrollment Services is here to answer any questions, help them through this process, help answer any questions they have, with their projected boundary, and now with all the changes that we have coming up. If there's any question, please don't hesitate to give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to help answer any question or find the answer for you.
Mario, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and helping us navigate school choice.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, friends and families, this concludes our EDUCA DPS podcast for today. A big thank you to our guest, Mario Quezada, for sharing this important information. I'd like to ask all of you to please share this content and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Denver Public Schools Plus. You can also find great EDUCA content on all of our multimedia productions. Just search for the Denver Public Schools podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. We want to start off here with gratitude. Our gratitude goes out to the entire communications department, and a big thank you to our proud Superintendent of Denver Public Schools, Dr. Alex Marrero, for his continued support to the EDUCA DPS podcast and all of our multimedia productions. Don't forget to tune in to our EDUCA DPS podcast, where the learning journey continues. And please remember to tell your children more often, I believe in you and I know you can do it. I'm Javier Ibarra. Until next time.